I always believed family comes first. As a senior developer at a successful tech company, I was fortunate enough to be financially stable. My younger sister Samantha struggled with money constantly, so I supported her for years. I paid her rent, utilities, car payments, and more often sacrificing my own dreams. Then one day I overheard Samantha and her fiancé Ryan laughing about how I was their personal ATM. Before I share how I discovered the truth about my sister and her fiancé, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Hit subscribe if you want to hear more stories about standing up for yourself when family takes advantage. I grew up in a middle-class family in suburban Chicago. Life was pretty normal until tragedy struck when I was 24. My parents died unexpectedly in a car accident, leaving me to care for my 19-year-old sister Samantha. Standing at their funeral, I made a solemn promise that I would always take care of her. At the time, I was just starting my career as a software developer. Despite the grief, I threw myself into work, advancing quickly through the ranks until I became a senior developer. The pay was good, and the job security was even better. I was building a solid future for myself, but Samantha was struggling. After our parents died, Samantha claimed she was too traumatized to continue college. She dropped out halfway through her sophomore year. I understood her pain, so I paid off her existing student loans, even though I was still paying off my own. It seemed like the right thing to do. Over the next few years, Samantha developed a pattern. She would get an entry-level job work for a few months, then quit because it was too stressful, or her boss was unfair, or the hours interfered with her social life. She never stayed employed long enough to become financially independent. Then she met Ryan. He had wavy brown hair, an easy smile, and absolutely no work ethic. He introduced himself as a struggling artist, though I never saw any evidence of actual art. He talked about big plans and projects that would supposedly make him famous, but he never seemed to actually work on them. Despite having no steady income, he drove a nice car and dressed in trendy clothes. Red flags were everywhere, but Samantha was smitten. I initially hoped Ryan would motivate Samantha to become more responsible. Instead, they enabled each other's worst habits. Neither of them maintained steady employment, yet they lived in a nice apartment and enjoyed an active social life. How I was footing the bill. It started small. Samantha called one night sobbing that they were going to be evicted if they couldn't make rent. I transferred the money immediately. A month later, their electricity was about to be shut off. Again, I helped. Soon I was regularly paying their rent, utilities, car payments, insurance, and even their cell phone bills. I was making good money, but supporting 3 adults on one income meant sacrifices. I delayed buying my own home. I postponed the international travel I had dreamed about. I worked overtime and took on consulting projects on weekends. Meanwhile, Samantha and Ryan seemed to be living their best lives, posting photos from restaurants and weekend getaways on social media. Every Friday we would meet for family dinner. I always suggested affordable places, but Samantha would pout, and Ryan would make comments about how I could surely afford something nicer with my big tech salary. I would cave, and we would end up at expensive restaurants, where they would order the most expensive items on the menu, appetizers, desserts, and multiple drinks. The check always came to me, and they never even offered to contribute. I funded their entire engagement party at an upscale venue. $8,000 for one night, but the smile on Samantha's face seemed worth it. She hugged me and said, "You are the best brother anyone could ask for." Ryan shook my hand firmly and said he was lucky to be joining our family. My friend Marcus saw through it all. We had been friends since college, and he wasn't afraid to be honest with me. "Dude, they are using you," he said one night, after I canceled our plans because Samantha needed help with a car repair. "You are being exploited." I dismissed his concerns. "She is my sister," I said. "I promised our parents I would take care of her." Taking care of someone and enabling them are different things, Marcus replied. "You are not helping her become self-sufficient. You are teaching her that she never has to be responsible." His words bothered me, but I pushed them aside. Surely Samantha would get her act together eventually. This was just a phase, right? Last month I was working on a particularly challenging project at work. Sleepless nights, endless coding, and the pressure of tight deadlines. When we finally launched, the client was thrilled. My boss called me into his office and informed me I would be receiving a substantial bonus. I decided to surprise Samantha and Ryan. They had been complaining about being bored with their usual takeout options, so I thought I would show up unannounced with groceries and cook them a nice meal. After all, they were family, and despite the financial strain, I truly wanted them to be happy. I arrived at their apartment building around 6 in the evening. As I approached their door, I heard laughter. The door was partially open, probably from when someone had taken out the trash earlier. I was about to knock when I heard my name. "Willie is so pathetic," Samantha was saying between giggles. "No girlfriend, no social life. Nothing but work, and sending us money." Ryan's deeper laugh joined hers. "He is like our personal ATM. I just mentioned being short on cash and boom, money appears in the account." Sugar brother Samantha replied, causing them both to erupt in more laughter. I stood frozen, the grocery bags growing heavy in my hands. "You should have seen his face when I mentioned we might not be able to make rent again," Ryan continued. "So earnest, so concerned. What a sucker. All I have to do is mention Mom and Dad," Samantha added. "I just say something like, they would want me to be happy and secure. And he falls for it every time." The groceries suddenly felt like they weighed 1,000 pounds. My chest tightened as I continued to listen. "So, about that vacation we were talking about," Ryan said, his tone shifting to something more conspiratorial. "I think we can definitely swing Cancun next month." With what money, Samantha asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. "Well, with the money we have been saving, of course," Ryan replied. "And if we need more, we know where to get it." They both laughed again. "Speaking of which," Samantha said, "we need to figure out how to approach him about the wedding. I was thinking a beach ceremony in Hawaii. He can definitely afford it." Ryan began doing an impression of me. "Whatever you need, Sammy. Family comes first. Here, take my credit card." They dissolved into laughter again. "And once we are married, we can start working on him to help us buy a house," Samantha continued. "He is so hung up on this idea of family legacy, it should be easy." "Oh, by the way," Ryan said, changing the subject, "what did you end up getting for those family photo albums and your mom's jewelry?" "The dealer gave me $2,000 for everything," Samantha replied casually. "Not bad for a bunch of old stuff Willie thought I was keeping in storage for sentimental reasons." My stomach lurched. Those albums contained the only photos of my parents and our childhood, and the jewelry had been in our family for generations. My mother had specifically told Samantha to save her grandmother's ring for when she had a daughter of her own. I stumbled back from the door, nearly dropping the groceries. Somehow, I made it back to my car, without them noticing me. I sat there, for what felt like hours, replaying their words in my mind. The drive home was a blur. I kept seeing flashbacks of all my sacrifices. The time I sold my rare comic book collection to help with their security deposit. The promotion celebration I had to skip because Samantha called with a plumbing emergency. The night I stayed up until 3 in the morning helping Ryan create a business plan for an art gallery that never materialized. When I finally got home, I broke down. Years of suppressed frustration and hurt came pouring out. I called Marcus, who came over immediately. "I told you so. Would be appropriate right now," he said. But instead he just listened, as I recounted what I had overheard. "You have been enabling them, Willie," he finally said gently. "You thought you were helping, but you were preventing Samantha from growing up and facing consequences." That night I pulled out all my financial records and calculated exactly how much I had given Samantha and Ryan over the past 3 years. The total made me physically ill. $87,423. Enough for a down payment on a nice house. Enough to have traveled the world. Enough to have started the side business I had been dreaming about. I barely slept that night, but by morning I had made my decision. The cycle of enabling had to stop for all our sakes. I spent the next day planning my approach carefully. This wasn't just about money. It was about years of manipulation and betrayal. I wanted to handle it with dignity. First, I consulted with a financial advisor about establishing clear boundaries. Then I called the credit card company and canceled the authorized user card I had given Samantha for emergencies. I contacted their landlord and had my name removed from their rental agreement, explaining I would no longer be guaranteeing their rent. I gathered all the documentation of my financial support organized by month and category. The stack of papers was depressingly thick. Our next family dinner was scheduled for Friday at La Maison, an upscale French restaurant that Samantha had insisted on trying. I arrived early and got a quiet table in the corner. My heart was pounding so hard, I could barely hear the waiter ask if I wanted to order a drink. Samantha and Ryan arrived 30 minutes late as usual. They didn't apologize for their tardiness. "This place looks amazing," Samantha exclaimed, already scanning the wine list. "Let us get a bottle of the Bordeaux." "Before we order, I need to talk to you both about something important," I said. They exchanged a quick glance. "Can it wait until after dinner?" Ryan asked. "I am starving." "No, it cannot," I replied firmly. Samantha must have noticed something different in my tone because she put down the wine list and looked at me with sudden concern. "What is going on? Is everything okay?" "I need to discuss our financial arrangement," I said, keeping my voice level. "Oh, about that?" Ryan jumped in. "We are going to be a little short on rent again this month, just until I sell some of my artwork. The gallery owner said there is definite interest." I remained silent, looking at them both. Willie Samantha prompted, clearly uncomfortable with my lack of immediate agreement. I took a deep breath. "I heard your conversation yesterday." Their expressions shifted from confusion to alarm. "What conversation?" Samantha asked, her voice artificially light. I took out my phone and played a brief recording I had made while listening at their door. Just a few seconds of Ryan calling me their personal ATM and Samantha laughing. The color drained from Samantha's face. She immediately switched tactics. "We were just joking around," she said, her eyes filling with tears. "You know how Ryan and I tease each other. We didn't mean anything by it." Ryan tried a different approach. He sat up straighter, trying to intimidate me with his size. "You were spying on us." "That is messed up, man." I refused to be baited. I did not raise my voice or show anger. "I brought something to show you," I said, placing the folder of financial documentation on the table. "This is a record of all the financial support I have provided over the past 3 years. I opened the folder and showed them the spreadsheets and receipts. $87,000, I said quietly. "That is how much I have given you. Not loaned. Given." Samantha glanced at the papers, then back at me, her expression hardening. "So what? You are my brother. Family is supposed to help family." "Help, yes," I agreed. "Enable, no. I have come to realize that my financial support has prevented you both from becoming independent, responsible adults. It ends today," Ryan scoffed. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means I will no longer be providing financial support of any kind," I explained. "No more paying your rent, utilities, car payments, phone bills, or any other expenses. No more emergency transfers when you mismanage your money." Samantha's shock quickly turned to anger. "You cannot do this," she hissed. "We depend on that money." "What about family loyalty?" "This is about family loyalty," I replied. "To myself, to you, and to the values our parents taught us about working hard and being responsible. You are abandoning us." Samantha accused, her voice rising. "Mom and Dad would be ashamed of you." The comment stung, but I held firm. "Mom and Dad would be disappointed to see how you have manipulated me and squandered opportunities. They raised us to be self-sufficient and honest." Ryan stood up abruptly. "This is bullshit," he declared before storming out of the restaurant. Samantha glared at me, tears streaming down her face. "I am willing to help in non-financial ways," I offered. "I can refer you for jobs, help with budgeting, or assist with career counseling. But I will not give you any more money. If you cut us off, you will never see me again," she threatened. My heart broke a little, but I knew I had to stay strong. "That is your choice, not mine," I replied. "I hope you choose differently." I signaled the waiter for my check. I paid only for my drink and left. Over the next 48 hours, my phone exploded with texts and calls. Samantha oscillated between begging, threatening, and guilt-tripping. Ryan left voicemails alternating between apologies and obscenity-laden tirades. I did not respond to any of them. They escalated their campaign by contacting other family members. Our Aunt Carol called me concerned about the stories Samantha was telling about me suddenly abandoning her out of selfishness. I calmly explained the situation, including the exact amount of support I had provided and what I had overheard. Aunt Carol was silent for a long moment. "I suspected something like this was happening," she finally said. "Your mother would be proud of you for finally setting boundaries. It could not have been easy." Her support meant more than she knew. When the harassment continued, I changed my phone number, giving the new one only to trusted friends and family members who understood the situation. 6 weeks passed, with no contact from Samantha or Ryan. Despite knowing I had done the right thing, I struggled with guilt and loneliness. Had I been too harsh? Should I have given them one more chance? I started seeing a therapist who specialized in family dynamics. She helped me understand that my enabling behavior had actually harmed Samantha by preventing her from developing independence and resilience. "You cannot save someone by drowning with them," she told me. "Setting boundaries is an act of love, both for yourself and for the other person." Slowly, I began to heal. I reconnected with friends I had neglected while focusing on Samantha's needs. I started exploring my long-delayed personal goals. I even went on a few dates, realizing how much of my social life I had sacrificed. Then, on a rainy Tuesday evening, Samantha showed up at my apartment. She looked different, thinner, and less polished than usual. Her eyes were red from crying. "We got evicted," she said without preamble, "and Ryan left me." I invited her in and made her tea. She told me how things had fallen apart after I cut them off. They couldn't make rent, and the landlord had no sympathy since they had been late multiple times before. Ryan had stuck around just long enough to borrow money from her for art supplies, then disappeared, leaving her with only a text message breakup. "I am so sorry, Willie," she said, staring into her mug. "You were right about everything. We took advantage of you for years. I sold Mom's jewelry and those photo albums. I manipulated you by invoking our parents. I was terrible, and I do not deserve your forgiveness." Her apology seemed sincere, but I remained cautious. "Where are you staying now?" I asked. "With a coworker," she admitted. "On her couch. But I cannot stay there much longer." I could see where this was heading. The old Willie would have immediately offered his spare bedroom and opened his wallet. The new Willie took a different approach. "I can help you find resources," I said. "There are programs that can assist with temporary housing and job placement." Disappointment flickered across her face, quickly replaced by resignation. "I understand," she said quietly. "I would not trust me either." I reached out and took her hand. "This is not about trust, Samantha. It is about helping you in ways that actually benefit you long term. Money is a quick fix that does not solve the underlying issues." To my surprise, she nodded. "I got a job waitressing," she told me. "It is not much, but it is something. And I am looking into going back to college part-time." We talked for hours that night. Really talked perhaps for the first time since our parents died. She admitted that she had used their death as an excuse to avoid responsibility. I confessed that I had enabled her because taking care of her financially was easier than helping her face difficult emotions. Over the next few months, Samantha slowly but surely built an independent life. She stayed at her waitressing job, moving up to better shifts. She enrolled in 2 classes at the community college. She found a tiny studio apartment that she could afford with her own income. Our relationship changed too. Instead of our expensive Friday dinners where I paid for everything, we took turns cooking for each other in our respective homes. When we did go out, we split the check. She called me for advice rather than bailouts. As for me, I finally bought my first home, a cozy 2-bedroom house with a small backyard where I could grill on weekends. I started dating Jessica, a software engineer I met at a professional conference. I began planning that international trip I had postponed for so long. The first holiday after our confrontation was challenging. Thanksgiving had always been Samantha's favorite, and our parents had made it a big celebration. This year, Samantha and I cooked together in my new kitchen. The meal was simple compared to previous years, but it felt more meaningful. Over pumpkin pie, Samantha looked at me seriously. "Thank you for cutting me off," she said. "It was the hardest thing anyone has ever done for me, and the most important." I smiled. "You did the hard work, not me." She shook her head. "You had the courage to do something painful, because it was right. I am still learning how to do that." As I reflect on our journey, I realize the most profound lesson sometimes true family support means allowing people to face consequences. By trying to shield Samantha from all hardship, I was preventing her growth. Real love sometimes requires difficult boundaries. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story helped you recognize unhealthy patterns in your own relationships, hit the like button and subscribe. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is stop doing what feels kind in the moment. And if you know someone who might benefit from hearing this story, please share it with them. Thank you for listening to my journey. And remember that healthy boundaries create healthy relationships.